Hiya, and welcome back to Distant Travels. I can't really think of anything. Uh, hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about this game yet, even though we're like almost 3 hours. So let's just hop right in. Let's start with some tests. I'll be rather quick. And then I'll treat you to some lunch. How does sushi sound? Sushi sounds good. The tiger orders the food by an app on his phone. You can't help but wonder if they have similar things on this world. Actually, you can just ask. It might be a silly question, but do you have similar phones back at Arctos? The tiger looks up at you. Normally, we'd use a communication band and get an implant for a certain frequency. Something just like the Scrambler. He holds up his arm to show you his watch. But due to the frequency fix, only you would be able to hear your calls. The apps on the phones on Earth are really convenient. You can't help but smile. Your two worlds definitely have different technologies, despite their similarities. And not only when it comes to weaponry. It's probably the thing that changed our world the most in recent years. I can imagine. It's one of the things I'll be bringing back with me to try to replicate. Now about those tests. It really is quick. A blood sample and a spit sample later, you're all set. While we wait for the sushi, how about I tell you something about the Firefly? Would you like to know more about the extra-dimensional energy, or would you like to proceed with the story? Should we learn more about the extra-dimensional energy? Let's just move on with the story. Actually, let me save here. And we will listen to the story later. I will record a separate video of it. You eat together and he asks you questions about technology and even medicine. You can answer most of it, but some involves things like biochemistry for which you have no idea. Eventually, Nick knocks on the door. All done? Just about. Did things with John go alright? I think I got to know everything I needed. Do you have some more time to chat, Dr. Stevenson? Charles gives a questioning look. Seems like he wants you to decide. I think I had some catching up to do with John still. I'll see you tomorrow then, Alex. John teaches you in closer detail about how things work on the Firefly. And here's how to turn on the shower. Which is exactly how you would turn on a shower on Earth. He's very considerate in the rest of the session. He goes into detail about everything, without expecting you to have any previous knowledge, even though most of the things are very intuitive to you. Like starting the shower, and how to book the recreation room through a touch display outside the room. He even teaches some details on how to cook on the ship. By the sound of what you're saying, it's not too unlike what you're used to. And I'll make sure to teach you the best recipes. Most of them take no time at all. Make a small list during the afternoon as well. John helps you list through things you need to bring, such as a laptop and a lot of movies. He also offers to share some of his collection with you. It's mostly old action movies from Arctos, apparently. The rest of the day goes by fast as you continue making your list and going through minor functions on the Firefly. He also tells you about the rest of the crew of the Firefly. There are a few people who are not on Earth, but rather on the ship, which is in orbit around Earth. There's more people than you thought. Gerald, Tom, Sean, Sheila, Rex. Make a mental note to try and remember as many names as you can, even though John reassures you that you'll be properly introduced to everyone. He guarantees that Max will want to give you a tour as soon as you're on the ship. Before you know it, it's almost dinner time. Would you like me to book a car to take you back to your hotel? I think I'll walk. I need to grab something to eat on the way as well. I'd offer to join you, but I'm sure you're tired of my rambling already. It's almost time for a nap. He smiles. Never underestimate a good nap, was it? You learn quick. I'll be seeing you tomorrow, Alex. See you tomorrow, John. As you make your way back to the hotel, you really notice how tired you are. You decide to grab something to eat at the hotel restaurant. It's a slow, calm evening. You even make it to bed early. Despite the nap, it does not take you long to fall asleep. You're like a memory I can't quite remember, but you're real, and every time I see you, I get this pleasant feeling. Like coming home after a long day. Like a warm shower on a cold morning. It is pleasant. His embrace. There's always that hug in this dream. I've had it before. The setting, the same person, even if I can never see his face. Or tell what his voice is. But it is pleasant. Just like a memory that one can't quite remember. One day I want to meet you for real. For now, let's rest. You feel him pulling you closer. This is nice. You wake up just before your alarm rings. You feel rested, but there's a weird feeling. You can't shake the feeling that things have been moving faster and faster the recent days. Maybe it's because you know you're going on kind of an adventure. It's like the build-up to an explosion. Faster and faster and faster. Good thing there's a bit of a break today. Got to remember to breathe sometimes. I wonder what it'll be like, and I wonder which part of my recommendation they went for. No way to know but go forth, right? You get out of bed and get ready for the day. Just as you're having breakfast with Nick at the cafe where Commander Steele first interviewed you, your phone rings. It's Julia. Good morning, Julia. Good morning, Alex. How's it going? Is Team Jules Rules winning? Not that there's a competition. Yes, I know you got the job. There's no way they'd interview you for so long otherwise, right? Always the enthusiast. Looks like we'll be coming home for a bit before going away for real. It's going to be a long time, Jules. I'm so excited. And you'll have something amazing on your resume for when you get back. By the way, Alex, you almost make it sound like I won't call you every so often and check on things. Always the caretaker as well. You know you technically won't be my boss for a while. You're not getting away that easy. I'm not sure I'll be able to bring my phone with me. You should ask. I want to hear everything, especially how you're doing. How are you feeling, now that you know you're the best there is? The best there is? You just got a really high-profile job, Alex. I knew you'd get it. Being on Team Jules Rules and all. I guess we won then, didn't we? I'm feeling good. I'm actually getting excited for this. Maybe I can tell you a little more when I'm back home. Should be tomorrow, by the look of things. I can't wait. I'll see you then, Alex. Take care. Bye, Julia. That's an interesting question. But there's no way my phone will work in space, right? You make a note to ask. Maybe I can word it in a good way, to not seem weird for asking. Wouldn't it be cool if... Confidence is a weird thing. The two of you finish up breakfast and make your way to the hotel lobby. Nick doesn't say much, which is uncharacteristic for him. But you know better than to pry if he doesn't want to talk. You catch up on emails and the news on your phone as you wait. There's not any interesting news. A lot of work, however. You must be swamped back home. You don't really ever think that much about home. But it is there. Maybe that's just what home is? As usual, you spot them instantly across the hotel lobby. Who wouldn't, with how different they are? It's John and Max this time. They walk across the lobby, making sure not to keep some space away from most everyone. Maybe it's because of the scramblers? Good morning, you two. Hey, you guys ready for today? Good morning, looking forward to it. Good morning. Plenty of rest and ready for the day. Sounds like it'll be a lot of fun. Plus, we'll all get to know you. He smiles a broad smile as he says that. Where to? We walked here, but there's a car on the way. We're going to a museum first. You can't help but laugh a little. Makes a lot of sense, actually. Going to check out Earth history, then? I like it. Museums are fun. Right? After that, we'll have some lunch somewhere and continue towards an arcade. It's all booked. Have you played a lot of laser tag, Alex? I wouldn't say so, but I'm pretty decent. I'll be on your team then. Can't wait to shoot this big lug. As he says that, he elbows John. The big badger doesn't even seem to notice. And then we'll be on to dinner. I found a place out by the lake. There's also There will also be a bartender serving drinks. There's the option to stay there overnight, so bring your toothbrush if you want to stay there. There's also the option to go back here, so don't stress it. I'll grab it just in case then. Me too. I'll be right back. You let them know and quickly return to your room and grab your toothbrush, some toothpaste, and a fresh pair of underwear. Within a few minutes, your two new colleagues guide you out of the hotel and into yet another limousine. The car ride is quite pleasant, but you feel like you're definitely stuck in the middle of the opposites. John seems calm as can be, and on the other hand, Max is so energetic he could make commercials for energy drinks. After a few minutes, the car stops outside the National Museum. Max leads the way, then heads off to pick up your tickets. You find the rest of the members of the Firefly waiting there for you. Good morning. Good morning, Alex. Ready for the day? Morning. Good morning. Looking forward to it. You really planned a full day. The idea is to go all out and get to know you better, as well as saying a proper goodbye to this place. As you finish talking, Max has finished sorting the tickets, and the six of you enter together. Nick still seems awkward and silent, but you choose not to mention anything. He'll open up eventually. And today is a day to relax, right? Max motions for you to follow him, and you two get ahead of the group. He puts his hand behind his head in what looks to almost be a nervous move. I think most people have different things they want to check out here, for their own reasons. As you look towards the rest of the group, Mike and Charles seem to be discussing something on the side, and John is on his way over to you and Max. Seems like it. There might be a tour or so, but I'd probably be more interested in just spending time with you all, to be honest. Would you like to tour the museum together with me? If that would be alright with you. That's not a bad idea. It'd be nice to get to know everyone some more. Before, you hear a deep voice behind you. Before leaving the world and traveling beyond the stars. I'm glad you're not opposed to the idea. Now then, I promised Max I'd go with him and you at the museum if you're alright with you. If you're alright with it. You alright, Nick? You seem more quiet than usual. I'm alright, just a little tired. You can't help but shake your head and smile at that. Morning person Max. I think I can handle you today. No scrambler this time. Max laughs at that. That's true. John raises an eyebrow questioningly. I feel like I've missed something interesting. There was this thing with the scrambler you guys have. The first time I saw Max, I think I kind of saw through it. I knew he wasn't what he appeared as, but my mind could not quite place it. It was different. That sounds interesting. You seem fine with it now. Makes sense why Mike asked me to turn off my scrambler before we met. Do you ever worry you won't remember to turn it on before going out into the streets? I'd say I have it on more often than not. It's more rare that I ever turn it off. Ditto. Ditto? Eh? A question strikes you. Have you watched any movies from Earth, Max? I have. I find it a good way to learn, plus, humans make some great movies. You might have picked up some slang there, bud. Max stares John dead in the eyes and drops his arm to his sides. Mood. John breaks out into a laugh. Cute. At least I didn't say bitchin'. Bitchin', huh? It's a bitchin' word. John and Max stare each other in the eyes in silence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds. John lets out a soft chuckle. Alright, I can't hold it. Not a word I'd ever think to use as such. Despite the silliness of it, Earth truly is a place with broader horizons. As you speak, Charles and Mike approach the four of you. Seems like they've also noticed how quiet Nick is. Hi, you four. Sorry for the sudden distraction, but there's an unexpected phone call I need to take. He looks disappointed as he speaks. I'll catch up to you if I can. I'll keep you company, Mike. I'll come with if that's alright. Charles looks a little surprised. Of course. The three excuse themselves and walk off. Shall we? Here, let's start this way. Max leads you towards a temporary dinosaur exhibit. John falls in line next to you, right behind him. You end up right in front of a large replica of a T-Rex skeleton. John looks at a plaque that contains a short description of the exhibit. Max looks over his shoulder. There's nothing like this in Arctos history. Earth seems like it has a longer history than Arctos. That's surprising. Arctos seems so technologically advanced. For what I've learned about Earth, you're not wrong. But relatively, our history is short, a few thousand years. There was most likely a mass extinction event at some point, but there's no fossils or similar things like this. Max seems unusually quiet. You look over, and he seems to be in deep thought. Both you and John stay quiet for a second, until Max speaks up. That's why I wanted to join the forces, in a way. You haven't known Max for long, but you're not sure you expected him to open up like this. He always seems so lofty, rushed. John just smiles and listens. You decide it's probably best to just do the same. To know what's out there, and maybe find out where we're from. Like Earth. There's no way things are this similar as a coincidence, right? It's pretty wild. It's a pretty good wish. Not very unique. It doesn't have to be, does it? You both have pretty wide dreams. That just sort of slipped out. Both Max and John look at you. Go hard or go home, or go hard to go home. Don't these pictures remind you of dragons in a way, Max? He points to the descriptions of a T-Rex on the little information plaque. There's ideas that this is where the legends of dragons on Earth comes from. But at the same time, when I think about it, the legends predate the technology used to put all the pieces together, so to say. Maybe dragons were on Earth at one point? I mean, there's bears and badgers here. The obvious question strikes you. It feels weird to ask, but once again, how will you ever know if you don't ask? How does that work on Arctos? You're asking if there's non-sapient animals? There are. And there's also a large following of vegetarians because of it. Was your face that easy to read? However, most people do not think about it. There's a large genetic difference. A badger like me is not a badger in any way except appearance. Yes you are. So, no non-sapient dragons though. Either you're easy to read or they got mind-reading tech. Glitter, rainbow sparkles, banana spaghetti, explosions. Nope, no mind-reading tech. Your mind is a weird place sometimes. And no dinosaurs. Nope. The three of you continue through the exhibit, stopping to look closer at most things. Max leads the way. He seems to be the most excited. John seems to be enjoying his time, reading the short bits of information about the pieces you see. You finish up the dinosaur exhibit and move on to the general art exhibit. John seems a little more interested now, and on the other hand, Max seems to take a step back. You stop by a large painting depicting a field in the morning sun. This reminds me of where I grew up. Looks peaceful, doesn't it? It does. Reminds me of a countryside farm. He chuckles. And this is where I'd sneak away from my chores and nap. It's no mystery I ended up in engineering. Because you like to sneak away and take naps? Because I wanted to automate things so I didn't have to sneak away to take naps. Don't you end up sneaking away anyway? In reality, there's always more work. John sighs softly. If you just end up lifting all the weights in front of you, someone will always add more to your pile. So when you find time to take a break, do it. Max lets out an overly theatrical yawn. Napping wins. John lets out a low chuckle. There's more to me than that, you know. Alex doesn't know that. Yet. He's not wrong. How about we take a break and do some questions then? You can ask me 2 questions and then I'll ask you 1. Max looks on eagerly. But first, you go, Max. Same rules. I get to ask Alex a question and he gets to ask me 2? I get it. That makes it even. I'll start then. He thinks for a few seconds. Okay, Alex. Do you have a dream or a goal in life? Not wasting any time before asking the big questions, it seems. John says it for you. Right into the big questions? A good way of getting to know someone. He smiles. You ponder for a second how to answer, but then again, the same subject was breached earlier this week. I want to change the world somehow. Make a lasting impression. Do you think that influences your hobbies and your free time? That's 2 questions. But it's not like you mind. Besides, the entire thing is set up to get you to know more about each other. You think for a little bit before answering. It probably influences what kind of movies or books I read. Dreams like that mostly exist in fiction. And that kind of fiction is probably more common in, for example, computer games. So it probably influences it somehow, but it doesn't dictate it. What do you do in your free time? I used to work out a little, but just kind of lost it somewhere along the way. It probably has to do with, you stalk yourself. You're not about to tell them about some sob story about your ex. That would make them pity you, and that's not what any of this is about. You'll have to use a question for that. John chuckles again. Alright, your turn. Once again, you take a second to think. How about something lighthearted that tells you a little about his personality? What's your favorite type of movie, of the ones you've seen from Earth? Max responds quickly to this one. First thought is drama or comedy, but I'll probably go with documentaries. You can see why. Max seems to have a hunger for information, to just learn about everything. That makes sense. How so? You're always so eager to learn. It's actually quite refreshing. And at times, but you're not going to tell him that. About the next question. On day off, what do you usually do? I'll usually work out and watch movies or read books. Or see if anyone else is around and up to something. He seems to contemplate something for a second. I guess I'm a bit of a follower like that. Seems like it was a great idea. Simple questions can have pretty interesting answers, it turns out. Max wastes no time. Your turn to ask, John. If I got it correct earlier, you grew up at the countryside. How did you end up on the Firefly? John puts his hand up and scratches the back of his head. I guess in a way, I followed a friend. It's a long story, but I'll try to summarize it a little. I decided to study engineering, so I moved to the city to study further when I was old enough. He looks like he's reminiscing. I met a lot of people, there was some real contrast to what I was used to. I made a lot of close friends, and even found a boyfriend. Boyfriend? With how casually he says it, must mean it's not a big deal for him. If it could only be the same for everyone. Not a big deal, just how things are. No anxiety about it. There really never should be. That's not how the world works. At least not on Earth. Not yet, at least. You notice how John and Max are looking at you. They notice you spacing out. Sorry. John doesn't mention it. Instead, he continues. That ended up breaking my heart. Looking back, it wasn't real love, but it sure felt like it at the time. So when he left me, I ended up feeling like I was the loneliest person in the world. But what was left for me was two close friends. You got to know one of them as Commander Steele. I got to know him as Mike, studying to become a teacher. He once again scratches the back of his head. You take it as a sign to change the subject. Thanks for telling me. You think for a bit about what to ask next. What's the best spot for a nap on the Firefly? Both John and Max freeze for a second. I'll show you, but it'll cost you. Cost me what exactly? You'll have to tell me about your best spot to take a nap when you find it. Fair deal and all. He lets out a quiet chuckle and smiles at you. What's your question for him, John? For a second, you're worried he's going to continue where Max's question ends. But he doesn't. Instead, he scratches his chin for a second, like he's thinking. Do you want a philosophical question, or a lighthearted one? He looks at Max for a second. That does not count as a question, by the way. What kind of question do we want? Gravitate towards you, ask me where I'm going, 'cause things are getting creepy, in a sleepy state of orbit, gonna go and set things straight again. I'm gonna prove them wrong, and go and show the world the supernatural. I wasn't prepared to be scared, young boy. I wasn't prepared to be read like a Tolstoy and destroyed. Say anything now. How about a lighter question? Then, chocolate or vanilla? You can't help but smile. You remember this question in discussion class. Pretty good way to get to know someone. So many decisions. Sorry, but I have to go with chocolate. Vanilla is close, but I'd have to say chocolate. So why does chocolate win? Chocolate is more versatile. It works with more than just a few other flavors. And the main point, it helps create serotonin. And serotonin makes you happy. John starts to laugh, but is quickly shushed by a passerby and stops. He speaks in a hushed voice. Being happy is important, but what if you don't need chocolate for it? A boost is never wrong. Besides, vanilla is also pretty great. I guess I'm a little more vanilla than that. I guess I'd say I'm a little more chocolate. Vanilla might be a little boring, but it has its place. Except bourbon vanilla, it has a special place in my heart. One of Earth's greatest creations. John smiles. You look around and notice that during your conversation, Max has already gone ahead and is a few art pieces ahead of you. He notices that you're finished talking and starts walking back towards you and John. The three of you continue the tour. Eventually, Charles, Mike, and Nick catch up to you, and you finish the tour together. Charles has some input on the art, not completely unexpected. Nick seems quiet still, but a bit more relaxed. You take a little break and then decide to walk together to a nearby restaurant for lunch rather than calling for a car. Eventually, you arrive at a cozy-looking restaurant. You all take a seat around the table. You end up sitting between Charles and Max. While Max seems to be enthralled by the concept, speaking mostly to the others and asking their opinions, Charles takes a slower approach. He turns to you for conversation. We missed most of it, which makes me a little curious about what you thought of the exhibits at the museum. Any favorite parts? While there were some interesting pieces, you've never really been that into art. There were some interesting parts, but I think that personally, the best part was getting to know John and Max a little better. Having said it out loud, that sounds far too sappy. Maybe I should say something so he doesn't think I'm just sappy. That sounds pretty sappy now that I think of it. That's not a bad thing. We're all going away on a journey, and it will be a while before we get back. That's why people celebrate or have an event before starting a new project, or a new job. Kind of as a goodbye to what has been, and as a greeting for what's to come next. There's also the substance of a memory. The substance? Did the commander tell you about his favorite line, the perception of time? No, not yet. Charles looks over to Mike, who seems to be listening patiently to something Max is explaining. He winks at the two of you. It might be better to leave that for tonight and have him explain it himself. It's one of those lines he's quite proud of. I guess it's mostly a philosophical view. I look forward to that. That leads the conversation into philosophy for you, and you can't help but wonder. What's your favorite philosophical question? Charles actually lets out a chuckle as you ask him. The question reminded me of something I read here on Earth. What differs humans from animals? Aristotle argued this. What makes humans different from animals is the ability to argue. If you were trapped in a cage with a human, you might try to reason and argue to cooperate, while an animal would do what it needs for its own survival, be it eat you or not. As such, it is the reason or the ability to argue and see or understand reason. I might have misquoted or understood, but it's fascinating. If you only knew. Charles lets out another soft chuckle. Charles seems to think for a second and then answers. I enjoy mixing scientific ideas with philosophical questions. He has a look on his face as if sorting through ideas, deciding which one to pick. He then seems to settle on one. I told you about quantum entanglement earlier. If you think back to the lecture about entanglement Charles held for you. In essence, two objects are linked and doing something till one can influence the other object. I remember. Entangled objects are connected so that actions performed on one affect the other, even when separated by great distances. He looks at you and lets out a smirk that betrays how happy he is. He seems happy at the fact that he taught you something. Well put. My favorite philosophical question and topic would be mixing something like quantum entanglement with personal feelings or ideas. Reminds me of something you thought about after Commander Steele had told you about entanglement. Something like, can feelings or souls be entangled? He once again looks a little surprised. That's a great example. It's a romantic idea as well. It'd mean there's a soulmate out there in a way. It does lead to that question, doesn't it? And if there is a soulmate, does it mean that the soulmate is the one true love? What if we're entangled to a friend? If you and I were entangled, would I be your friend or your lover? Isn't that kind of a soulmate as well? Different kinds of love? I like the idea. There's also the idea of how to entangle feelings. If our actions entangle our relationships, friendships, or lovers, even enemies, then we're all entangled in different ways. The entanglement might just differ in intensity. Perhaps, but at that point, I think it's not the same kind of entanglement anymore. I like the idea of layers of it. I could be your soulmate or your best friend. And it could be because we're entangled. Or there could be a wide web of entanglement that started as soon as we got to know each other. I guess it depends on how one would view it. So either we're all entangled in different ways, and our interactions and ideas change that, and it changes us as well. Or the entanglement would mean that there's that one person you're entangled with. And if that's your best friend, or your lover, I think it's quite the calming idea. Either a best friend or a lover being out there. And if you want to meet them, wouldn't the entanglement make it so they want to meet you as well? I'd love to be entangled with someone. Yo, what? Oh wait, I'm dumb. I can just like, yeah, I do have a display capture set up. There we go. Y'all can like see exactly what I'm looking at right now, and it's creepy. Yeah. No. Actually, let me like go there and edit that real quick. He is now Lin Hu. I'm just gonna leave that there for a little bit. You know, settings will go back up. You could swear that you saw him blushing for just a second, as if he realized the innuendo of what he just said. You're quite the romantic, Charles. Not the only one by the looks of it. He smiles at you. There's a few more ways one could end the argument. As if we were entangled, would we like the same person instead? But that's not as much of a fun thing to consider. I agree, I prefer the first idea. We are but people, so we might as well go with the fun parts when we get the chance. I can't help but wonder if entanglements of souls is real. How would one end up with the wrong person? The tiger is listening closely to you as you speak. Like a bad ex. We are still but people, and even if entanglement is real, there's no saying feelings can be entangled in just one way. He looks you in the eye. I take it you have a story to tell in that regard. As if he's read through you completely. You sigh. Might as well roll with it, right? Time to open the gates once again. You tell him about your ex. About how it started gray, but it was never real for him, and how in retrospect he stopped you from moving forward. Like how he discouraged you from finishing the studies for your networking certifications, or how he talked bad about the few friends you had, eventually tearing a rift in your relationship with them. Of course, you weren't so blunt in your words when describing it, and he even called you out for being apologetic at times. We don't choose our weaknesses, and we don't get to pick what mistakes we make. You can just do your best to move forward afterwards. And the best cure to a broken or beaten heart is a stiff drink and good conversation. Hopefully you'll be able to get a dose of both tonight. He leans in close and whispers in your ear. Trust me on that one. I'm a doctor. He's using the whole doctor thing against us. I don't know how to feel. You can't help but laugh at that. It's a fun day so far. I wonder how the laser tag and evening will play out. It's almost like it's all set up to give me a chance to spend some time with each of you, and all at once. That's the idea. Use today to make a memory. It's a change of seasons, so to say. You finish up lunch and chat for a bit while digesting the food. After you're all relaxed, Charles ends up calling for a car to take you to the arcade. There's less talking as everyone's digesting the food, but the timing works out. As you get to the arcade, everyone seems to be lively as ever. Before long, you're all suited up to play laser tag. You can't help but think it feels a little surreal. I'm right here, about to play laser tag with, well, people who aren't human. They all look excited, although slightly lost. Do you think they've ever done anything like this? I don't think so. They're about to get demolished then. This reminds me of gun practice, although hopefully a lot less serious. It's supposed to be lighthearted. It'll feel deadly serious despite the fun. Bear smiles. Besides, even if it was a while since I last played, you guys don't stand a chance. You'll regret saying that. Mike laughs at that. Am I to expect no mercy then? Max aims his rifle at the commander and fires. Nick lets out a laugh. He never saw it coming. The game hasn't even started yet. I'm just making sure to get an early advantage. Is that a challenge? Never should let my guard down, eh? Didn't figure you to be one who would shoot a rifle in the back, Max. Friendships don't matter in the game. You get a silly idea. It's silly, but you quickly aim your rifle and shoot the commander flat in the chest. Twice shot, thrice shy. One bitten, twice shy, but I doubt the commander will have that problem. The bear gets a contemplating look on his face, and then a twinkle in his eye. Don't expect me to go easy on any of you. John and Charles seem to be discussing something as well. They occasionally glance over to you, Nick, Max, and the commander. You can't help but think that it's almost as if they're plotting something. John waves you and Nick over. The commander seems to notice but doesn't say anything. He gives you a pat on the shoulder and starts asking the game organizer a few questions as you make your way over to John and Charles. Psst, Alex, we need to team up. Isn't this supposed to be a fair match? That's why we need to team up. I'm pretty confident here. John sighs. If this is anything like shooting a regular rifle, you don't stand a chance after Max and you riled him up. One of Mike's hobbies is target practice. He does it once or twice a week. Pair that up with having practiced for years, I'd usually say play fair. But in this case, teaming up is the only way to have a fair chance. They seem serious. It's all in good spirits, of course. I'm fairly sure he's expecting us to team up already. You're kidding. He definitely knows. Charles nods towards the commander, and as your eyes land on him, you notice he's looking at you. He then proceeds to put the laser-tagged rifle up to his eye like he's taking aim. He definitely knows. What about Max? There's no way he'd team up with us. Knowing him, he wants it to be a fair fight, even if there's no chance of winning. I'll be going with Max on this one. Nick leaves, dismissing the pair. If you don't have to team up with us, but it'd give us a better chance. What do you say? Thinking about it, the commander definitely seems ready if you were to team up against him. But what about fair play? Is winning important? And what would be the most fun? What should we do? I feel like it'll end badly, but we have to. Thinking about it, he knows what's going to happen. And it'll be more fun to have a fair fight. Besides, if it becomes too one-sided, you can always switch sides. All is fair in love and war. What's the plan? There's no time to think of something elaborate, so let's keep it simple. For starters, John and I will corner him. Blanket fire, if you will. You find a way to sneak behind him and get him. After that, it'll be a bit of every man for himself, except we all focus him whenever he's not responding. We'll keep him down and then deal with each other if there's time. This seems elaborate enough for a way to cheat in laser tag. I can't help but feel a little bad. If things turn too unfair, you'll just have to switch sides. Alright, but if things turn unfair, I'll swap sides. Fair enough. He puts out his hand for a handshake. You can't help but feel like you're sealing a deal in a dark alley as you shake his hand. You are. With that, you proceed into the game area. The game organizer sorts you all out and you spread out throughout the room. The lights are turned off and you find yourself in a dark labyrinth filled with smoke. There are neon lights outlining the walls. You take a deep breath as you hear the countdown. 3, 2, 1. The music starts and you start hearing the sound effects from shots being taken. Now to find the commander, and bring him down. Start by sneaking around the outside wall. If you listen to the sound of shooting, you should find out where John and Charles are putting down blanket fire. It does not take long. After a few seconds, you hear the sound of someone absolutely raining down shots towards an area. You silently make your way towards the area and peek your head up around the corner. You notice Charles, hiding behind a wall, only looking up to take shots. You look around carefully and notice John also shooting in the same direction. You can't quite make out what they're shooting at, but it has to be the commander. Now, to sneak around and get him from behind. You eventually find a good spot and peek around the corner. He's not there. You notice John and Charles have both stopped shooting. John starts looking around, the worry is clear on his face. Silence falls. For just a second, all you can hear is the music playing. And then you hear it. A single shot. The sound of defeat the combat vest does when someone's hit. How did you even... Hear a shushing sound and Max stops mid-sentence. Hear a second shot, followed by Nick swearing. Another shot. This time you see it. John has been hit and his vest turned dark. Starting the respawn sequence, he starts walking towards the spawn area. Silence falls again. You fall back, keeping Charles within view. Charles looks around, slowly, and then feel something poke your back, and then a whisper in your ear. Shh. Quiet. Stay silent or you're first. You freeze. You notice the commander raise his rifle above your shoulder. You can feel his arms around you. For a moment you wonder if you should call out, but your defeat is absolute. You watch in silence as he takes the shot and Charles' vest goes dark, starting the respawn sequence. He's so aggressive. Now then, you're not going down without a fight. You plan your actions in your head. Duck down, and then turn around before he can react. Shoot him square in the chest. You'll do it in one quick sequence. What's next? I shoot you and win, of course. What if you start your plan and duck down as fast as you can? It seems to be working, but as you start to turn around, you realize that his idea was better in your head than reality. You continue turning around and get ready to shoot the second you get a view of his vest. Is that my audio driver? Or is that like part of the track? The problem being he ended up being closer than you had thought. You turn around before either of you can react. He lets one hand go of his rifle and catches you as you fall into his chest. He lets out a grunt as you accidentally push your rifle into his stomach. That had to hurt. You feel him stop as he takes a step backward and stabilizes the two of you. One hand on his rifle, one hand on your shoulder. Are you alright? You can't help but feel like that is your line. Sorry. You say that, but this is your chance. All's fair in love and war, after all. He looks you in the eye as you take aim. You can't help but feel bad as he raises the hand holding the rifle in defeat. You win this one. Sorry. You shoot him square in the chest. He seems to have recovered and stretches his back out. Don't worry about it. Unless that wasn't an accident. He raises an eyebrow. I had a plan. That was not it. He pats you on the shoulder as he starts walking towards the respawn. You barely notice it until your vest goes dark. Looks like the others have respawned. You can hear Max let out a yell in victory. Mike chuckles softly as you fall in line next to him, walking towards the spawn area. You all teamed up, didn't you? You stay silent. You made the right choice in teaming up. Oh god. Windows security. No viruses for me. You made the right choice in teaming up. I can't help but feel like I've broken too many rules. Paired with hurting you. I should apologize. Sorry. Tis alright. I'm fine. It's alright because it's you. What does he mean by that? You surprised me a little. He looks to be in thought for a second. If you don't mind me asking, what was the actual plan? He let out an exasperated sigh. The plan was to simply turn around and hit you in one smooth motion. Wow. Just, wow. I honestly do not know. But, holy shit, so aggressive. The problem was that I misjudged the distance. He chuckles softly. Looks like I'm the one at fault. He seems to ponder for a second, as if deciding something important. Who convinced you to team up? Charles and John seemed set on it. Not a bad choice. But, in the name of fair play, I won't be going easy on you from now on. That was going easy? I can't help but feel like I've made a grave mistake. He winks at you as you reach the respawn area. Time will tell. I'll give you a head start. As you're making your way back to the play area, your eyes catch John's. He gives you a knowing look and nods in a direction. As you look there, you see Max and Nick. John seems to be talking to them. Looks like they've convinced them as well. What proceeds might be the most intense game of laser tag you've ever experienced. Eventually, during the third or fourth rounds, you manage to score a hit on the commander fair and square. Once all is said and done, the score was one-sided. That was fun. Intense but fun. Everyone really let loose. There's a short break before your dinner and your final destination for the evening. You finish cleaning up faster than most of the others and take a seat at a table in the arcade while waiting. After a few minutes, you notice the commander making his way towards you. Hi, Commander. Hi, Alex. Did you have as much fun as I did? He smiles a broad smile at you, but that betrays just how much he enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun. Even if I didn't expect you to beat us all by that much. It's not too unlike shooting a combustion rifle. A what? There's a lot of things you don't know about your new colleagues yet. He notices your confusion. A lightweight rifle, usually used for covert operations. Is that the kind of rifle you usually practice with? He raises an eyebrow. Someone told you about that? It's not one of my go-to weapons, but I tend to practice with a few different ones whenever I get the chance. If you'd like, I could show you how to aim properly sometime on the Firefly. You can't help but think back of the moment he was aiming for Charles during the laser tag session. His arms around you as you took aim towards the tiger. Was he just showing off? Aside from that, it sounds like a great way to let off steam. And it could be fun. I'd like that. It's not something I'd get to learn back home. In contrast to this, it's a little more serious. But it's a good way to relax and clear your head for a bit. He looks out the window into the sky as if he's contemplating something. Thanks for the suggestion. This was a lot of fun. Everyone really let loose. Sometimes it's easy to get too attached or focused on one thing. Troubles or something awkward that happened. Times like these really help me relax and get focused on what matters. Regardless of the likeness to what this simulates, it was lighthearted. Now that you think about it, when the two of you were walking, he mentioned that there had been a war. It must be pretty grim, running around shooting each other for fun then. Although, he seemed like he was having fun. It's hard to compare it to something more real when it's so much fun. Humans seem to take inspiration from anything. It's motivating, in a way. You don't have laser tag back at Arctos? No, there's training weapons that are similar, but they're for military training only. We should be able to do something like this on the Firefly. In the recreational room? That would work, but usually I just set something up in the cargo space when I do target practice. There's more room, and since I usually do it at night, it's also a bit more secluded. At night? Does the commander have trouble sleeping? I can relate to that. Just lying there, unable to fall asleep. Something stuck on your mind. Past troubles. Or just the next video game. You've spaced out again. And again, he's just there waiting for you to finish your thoughts. It sounds relaxing to do it during the night. One of many reasons. It's a date then? You can't help but feel like you're blushing. You hope you're not, but it feels like it. Looking forward to it. The two of you continue the conversation until everyone else finish cleaning up and catch up to you. There's small talk, and eventually you all take yet another car. This time the car ride is a little longer. John even manages to take a nap during the car ride. Hold on, the stream is experiencing issues. Holy shit, I really do need to mod this game. Thought I could get out of it, but I can't. Max whisks the commander away in a discussion about laser tag tactics. He follows patiently and gives Max pointers. Charles seems to be engrossed in reading something on his phone. You mostly look out the window, listen to music, and enjoy the ride. After a while, you arrive at a small inn outside the city, right near a lake. By the looks of it, there's no one else there tonight. John did mention he'd reserved something. Did he mean the entire place? The car comes to a stop outside the inn. John runs you through the evening as you make your way inside the building. Everything's booked for tonight. There will be dinner served in a bit, and then there will be a bartender serving drinks. As if on cue, a woman who you can only assume is a waitress greets you and hands John a stack of keycards. The rooms are upstairs, all of them are of similar size. John hands everyone a card each. Looks like you got room number 1. The waitress proceeds to lead you into the inn, where a large table is set. You all take seats around the table. Before you know it, there's good food and drink brought in. You all end up a little tipsy, drinking during the course of dinner. Everyone seems to be discussing the museum and laser tag. You can't help but feel a little embarrassed as you're complimented on your choice of activity. It feels awkward being thanked for something like that. Now that you think about it, there have been a lot of awkward moments like this recently. Most of them are related to you being credited or being thanked. Is that another self-esteem thing? Or are you just not used to it? Maybe it's the people around you. They're also kind and respectful. Maybe being in a spaceship with these people will be a pleasant experience, aside from everything else. You'll be going into space, on a mission that sounds like it's from a movie, to be part of research and to save the world. And still, the thing that currently has your attention is that it will be a fun break. With pleasant people. Somewhere in the back of your mind there's definitely some hesitation. What if after you go you end up saying something stupid or doing something awkward? You've definitely felt like you've taken water over your head. But everyone keeps reassuring you. Even if you end up feeling like you're trapped and want to run, there will probably be someone there to calm you down and reassure you. How comforting. Eventually, everyone has finished with dinner. Almost everyone has split up and seems to be enjoying their evening alone or talking with someone. You could retire to your room already, but after that meal you still have some energy. Who would you like to spend more time with? We are going to leave off here for tonight. And I get to mod the game tomorrow. Fun. Well, I can't think of anything else to say other than this is a really fun game. So, stay safe, have a good night, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.